Back in ASEAN Challenge, we take a look at what's coming up in ASEAN Interview with focus on the Rohingya once again. Some upcoming reports about more than 23,000 Rohingya refugees about to be moved to a particular island off of Bangladesh, to which various authorities say that everything has been prepared, whether it's electricities, whether it's health, or whether it's shelter. Everything is ready to receive these 20,000 plus Rohingya refugees to ease the congestion you see at Cox's Bazar and other refugee camps in Bangladesh. But at the same time, a lot of backlash is coming out, expressing concern about whether or not moving to that island is safe for the Rohingya. That's the new issue and challenge for the Rohingya.
ใช่แล้วค่ะอาเซียนอินเทอร์วิวในสัปดาห์นี้นะคะเราจะไปดูประเด็นของโรฮิงญาซึ่งก็ยังถือว่าเป็นประเด็นสำคัญของโลกในปี 2562 นะคะล่าสุดนี้ก็มีความคืบหน้าเกี่ยวกับการย้ายชาวโรฮิงญาจากบังกลาเทศไปสู่อีกหนึ่งเกาะซึ่งกำลังเตรียมความพร้อมอยู่แต่ว่าก็มีประเด็นสำคัญแล้วก็ความคืบหน้าจะเป็นอย่างไรติดตามได้ในช่วงนี้ค่ะ
Myanmar leader Aung San Suu Kyi called for investment in the crisis-hit western state of Rakhine earlier Friday, February 22nd. She said the world had focused narrowly on negative aspects in the state, from which some 730,000 Rohingya Muslims have fled since 2017. On a rare visit to Rakhine, Suu Kyi emphasized responsible business practices as she addressed an investment fair sponsored by Japan in the coastal state's tourist hotspot of Ngapali Beach. But she made only a brief reference to the conflicts that have roiled areas several hundred kilometers to the north and did not mention the Rohingya. As well as those stuck in Bangladesh, hundreds of thousands of Rohingya and other Muslims remain trapped in camps and villages in Rakhine, where their movements and access to services are still restricted.
While Myanmar has benefited widely from the opening up of our economy, much of Rakhine's economic potential still remains untapped. For too long, the international community's attention has been focused narrowly on negative aspects related to problems in North Rakhine, rather than on the panoramic picture that shows the immense potential of this state for peace and prosperity. With a view to ensuring long-term peace and harmony for all who live within the state, we have been doing our utmost to meet security and humanitarian needs in line with the recommendations of the Commission led by the late Dr. Kofi Annan. At the same time, we have to address economic issues in Rakhine that we may achieve the progress and development needed to sustain peace and prosperity.
A United Nations human rights investigator on Myanmar voiced deep concern earlier Monday at Bangladesh's plan to relocate some 23,000 Rohingya refugees to a remote island in April, saying it may not be habitable, creating a potential new crisis. Bangladesh says moving refugees to Basan Char, whose name means floating island, will ease the chronic overcrowding in its camps at Cox's Bazar, which holds some 730,000 Rohingya. The UN says the Muslim minority fled mass killings and rapes committed during an army crackdown in western Rakhine State since August 2017. Some humanitarian groups have criticized the relocation plan, saying the island is vulnerable to frequent cyclones and cannot provide a livelihood for thousands of people.
The conflict in Rakhine State between the Arakan Army and the Tatmadaw continues. Just this weekend, the Arakan Army reportedly attacked another 2 more police posts in northern Rakhine. Since November, there have been casualties on both sides, as well as of civilians, which is of great concern. Reportedly, up to 10,000 civilians have been forced to flee their homes as a result of the violence and have little humanitarian assistance as a result of government restrictions.
But Myanmar's ambassador, Cha Mwe-tun, promptly rejected this, saying the country would not accept any call for referring the situation in Myanmar to the ICC.
In this regard, I would like to ask the Special Rapporteur whether she is aware of the displaced persons in the camps in Cox's Bazar who repeatedly expressed their desire to return to Rakhine State. Mr. President, in order to create conducive environment for the returnees, We are working not only with UNDP and UNHCR, but also with our ASEAN friends and regional partners. We will not accept any call for referring the situation in Myanmar to the ICC.
Bangladesh told the United Nations Security Council earlier Thursday, February 28th, that it cannot take any more refugees from Myanmar, some 18 months after more than 700,000, mainly Rohingya Muslims, started pouring across the border, fleeing a military crackdown. Attacks on security posts by Rohingya insurgents in Myanmar's Rakhine state triggered the crackdown that the United Nations, the United States, Britain, and others describe as ethnic cleansing. Myanmar denies the accusations.
In diplomacy, exhaustive list does not exist. Yet, I must mention that we have tried everything bilaterally with Myanmar for the voluntary, safe, dignified, and sustainable return of Rohingyas, and are now continuing our bilateral engagement despite hollow promises and various obstructionist approaches by Myanmar. We have also engaged with regional partners. Yet, not a single Rohingya have volunteered to return to Rakhine due to absence of conducive environment in Myanmar.
Go back to what the Special Envoy underlined as one of her.
We are ready to receive verified returnees in a voluntary, safe and dignified manners in accordance with the bilateral agreement and arrangement with Bangladesh. We have proposed recently to Bangladesh side to resume the joint working group meeting in April. We are confident that we can make the repatriation plans a success if we both act strictly in compliance with the agreements.
Bangladesh, who has a country that also has.
I think we're very disappointed that more hasn't been possible, that there hasn't been more progress on getting the refugees back. And that obviously includes creating the conditions where the refugees feel able to go back.
The international community cannot ignore the world's largest refugee camp. We can and must take steps to effect change on the ground and to resolve this humanitarian crisis.
The 15-member Security Council has been split over how to deal with the crisis, with Western powers pitted against Russia and Myanmar ally China. In December, Britain circulated a draft resolution to council members that diplomats said aims to put a timeline on Myanmar, allowing the return of refugees and addressing accountability. But China and Russia have boycotted talks on the draft. Deputy U.S. Ambassador Jonathan Cohen said, "The international community cannot ignore the world's largest refugee camp."
And that was the ASEAN interview for this week, which wraps up our program. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. As for now, สวัสดีค่ะ